Hi boys and girls, this is lesson 7.3, a fraction as a multiple of a unit fraction. Please get that written in your notebook as well as today's date. When you have that done, come on back. Okay, so here's the math message. Emily used 1/3 cup of skim milk to make a strawberry smoothie. Choose a fraction circle piece to represent how much milk Emily used. If the fraction piece you chose represents 1/3, what piece is the whole? Those are the questions I want you to think about. So already on here, I've done a basic one for you, which is if I'm looking at this, I can say, well, this is the whole, and this would be 1/3, right? That's the basic one. We know that. What about, though, if I said this 1/2 here, this is going to be the whole. If that's the whole, what would 1/3 be? Hopefully, because I put this out here to help you out, hopefully you can say, well, if this is the whole, then you can see that these three pieces, breaking it into three pieces, would be, one of them would be 1/3. Hopefully you can see that. Think of some other fraction circle pieces and how you could do that same concept with those. We talked about this back a bit ago, about how the whole can change in fractions, right? So think that through a little bit. So make sure that you can understand that 1/3 is a unit fraction. There's that term that we want to make sure we remember, because it is a fraction with a numerator of 1. Unit fractions name one part of the whole. Hopefully you really get that concept. And today we're going to develop an understanding that any fraction can be represented as a product of a whole number and a unit fraction. So here's the formula. A over B equals A times 1 over B. There's the unit fraction, right? Okay. Hopefully that makes sense to you. We will help you with that understanding moving forward in this lesson. So, with our original question of Emily and her smoothie, we talked about her needing 1/3 of a cup of milk to make one smoothie. So, how much milk would she need to make two smoothies? Okay, we're still going to say that the whole, or this time we're going to definitely say the whole is the red fraction circle whole. And we know that the one that I have put on the screen here, this is thirds, right? All right, so if she needs 1/3, and yeah, she needs 1/3 for each one, and she's making two, what would that look like with fraction circles? Go ahead and draw that in your notebook and then come back. Hopefully that's the drawing that you would have had, or any combination of those two pieces. It doesn't have to be sitting the same way mine is. Anyone. How about an addition equation? Could you jot down an addition equation for that? Hopefully you would see 1/3 plus 1/3 equals 2/3 is an addition equation that goes with that. You couldn't have just put 1/3 plus 1/3 and left it, because that's not an equation. We have to have the equals 2/3, right? All right, so how about a multiplication equation that goes with that? And hopefully you said 2 times 1/3 equals 2/3. Okay, so there's some basic understanding that we need to have going forward. So remembering that a multiple of a number is a product of that number and a counting number. Okay, so remember that. So 2/3 is a multiple of 1/3 because 2 times 1/3 equals 2/3. It's the second, 2/3 is the second multiple of 1/3. Does that make sense? Hopefully. So if you're counting by 1/3, hopefully you'd say 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, and so on, right? So here's another problem for you. Emily wants to make 3 smoothies. How much milk now? How is it represented with fraction circles? Draw it. With an addition equation, write it. And with a multiplication equation, write that too. When you get all of that written down in your notebook, come back and see if we have the same answers. Okay. So that's my picture. Here's my addition equation, and here's my multiplication equation. So the product, the total amount of milk, is still a multiple of the unit fraction 1/3, right? Okay, hopefully that's what you see. Yeah. Okay, so I wrote a bunch of those out for you. You probably want to put this in your notebook as well, because it should help you to remember the rule A over B equals A times 1 over B. Okay? So let's use what we know about unit fractions and multiples to multiply a unit fraction by a whole number. You can use fraction circles, drawings, and or the rule to help you to solve these problems. Okay? Go ahead and get those written down for yourself. When you have them done, come back and take a look. Hopefully you have those answers, and hopefully you have the understanding behind those answers that goes along with it. Okay? Okay, so write a number model with an unknown to help you solve these number stories. If Kate wants to give a snack of a half an orange to each of the 6 girls in her scout troop, how many oranges will she need? Write a number model with an unknown, and then try and solve it. Okay? When you have it, come on back. Hopefully you said, well, 6, because there's 6 girls, times the half of orange each equals, I picked a letter, K, you could pick any letter. And then if I do that multiplication, I would say, well, that's 6 over 2, 6 halves, and 6 halves is 3 oranges, because I could do 6 divided by 2. Remember, that's what this is saying to me. 6 divided by 2, 2 times 3 equals 6. So 3 oranges. That's how I got that, right? Here's another one. Paul has 4 yards of rope. It takes 1/2 yard to tie, oh boy, I got a typo in there, a garbage bag. I don't know what the a la get it was originally, but to tie a garbage bag. So how many garbage bags can he tie? He's got 4 yards of rope. It takes 1/2 yard to tie 1 garbage bag. How many garbage bags can he tie with his 4 yards? Write a number model with an unknown to help you solve it, then try and solve it, come back and check your answer. So I used the letter B this time for garbage bag. You could pick any letter you want. Times 1/2 equals 4. That's what we know, right? Some number times 1/2 equals 4. Hopefully if you did that math, you would be able to figure out, well, that's going to be 8 bags, because what I'm trying to get to is going to be what over 2 would give me 4, right? Well, I know that 2 times 4 is 8. So if I had the, if I said 8 times 1/2 equals 4, that means I'm saying 8 halves equals 4, and that is actually true, right? Because 8 divided by 2 is 4. And that's how I solve that problem. All right, so now you work on the problems on page 234 and 235. Give them your best effort. Rewatch this video if you need more help. This is a pretty tough concept, as we talked about in school. So give it your best, and then check the answers on the next page, and we will talk about problems that you have difficulty with in class. So make sure you circle any that you need help with. All right? All right, so go ahead and do those. Pause this video, then come back and check your answers. Here are those answers. I look forward to talking to you about this in class. Have a great night.